In this video, you will learn an ancient technique that is shockingly powerful and essential for overcoming procrastination. Now, full credit doesn't go to me. It goes to ancient Stoic philosophers who I learned this technique from. All I've done is learn this, applied it many times for many years, and grown comfortable with the experience so I can now share it in a step-by-step method that works in modern times with you today. Now, this technique works for everyone, it works every time, and it's shockingly powerful if you've got a lot of free time, or it's on the weekends, or you're on holiday like a summer break. Now, before I just go out and just blurt out this technique, a while ago I had a serious problem with procrastination. I'd spend 5-6 hours playing CSGO and I would waste so much time watching stupid videos on YouTube. And when I would watch videos like this one, which I did often, I would learn this technique and I'd think, oh yeah, that's quite powerful. But I was never filled with the belief or the motivation to actually go out and implement that habit. So I knew all of these different techniques like Pomodoro or the 5-second rule or chunking technique, but I would never actually go out and implement them. So my problem with procrastination kept coming back again and again and again. But I don't want this video to be another one of those videos. I want this video to be a transformational video for you, because I truly believe that, like Jim Rohn said, on any one day you can massively change the direction of your life. And I want that day to be today for you. I want you to have a serious shift in your mind and in the actions you take after watching this video, and I really believe it can be done, but it can't be done by any conventional way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to include an interview with one of my coaching clients before we get onto the technique. And I know that's going to leave you with blue balls for a few minutes, but the reason I'm doing that is twofold. First of all, it's going to fill you with belief that you can make the change you need to overcome procrastination, and it doesn't have to take weeks or even months to happen. It can happen today, because this coaching client, he managed to overcome procrastination in just a singular day. So hopefully you're going to see that, you're going to be filled with belief that you can do that too, and also he's going to start to talk a little bit about the technique, so you can start to see how he actually implemented it in his day-to-day life. So I want you to pay close attention to that and try and pick up on what he's saying and how he managed to implement this technique. So I just wanted to start by getting a little bit of an understanding of where you were, let's say a month ago.
Okay, yeah. It wasn't too pretty of a time. I was pretty unhappy. I was procrastinating a lot. My grades weren't the best. And I just felt like everything's dragging me down. I couldn't get happy anymore. Gaming didn't give me this sensation that it used to. I got unhappy. I raged a lot. I broke a monitor and several computer mice. I was just really one big mess. I can't describe it any other way. It was just a nightmare. I was never happy.
And then on our first call, what happened? Because I remember that call very, very clearly.
Me too. So on our first call, and we started just about several things that I can do to be more happy, to get my life in order. Like planning tomorrow, today. That was, for me, that was one of the biggest changes in my life. And it's actually one of the best things I've ever done, because it actually helps me get my schedule in order and not just procrastinate, because if you plan your day, there's no time to procrastinate.
And then since that first call, have you managed to follow the information, or have you just heard it and kind of brushed it off?
I did manage to follow the information. It was hard at first, but this is my advice: just push yourself to follow. It will become easier every day. Like, the first day I even forgot to plan my day tomorrow, so I had to do it quickly, and so that day wasn't the best, it wasn't planned out properly, but the next night I remembered to do it, and since then it's a routine. I cannot even picture myself not doing it.
And what do you think of the program since then, since the first week?
It's amazing. I've never, ever done something so life-changing in 3 weeks. It's not even that long of time, but it really feels like a life changer. I've never ever thought that this change was even possible. It's just amazing.
I guarantee there's going to be at least one comment that's going to say that this is a fake interview. I guarantee it.
To the one person that says it's a fake interview, it's not. Try the course and see for yourself.
Okay, and how have you stopped procrastinating? Would you say you have?
Yes, definitely. That's like the biggest change. I have deleted social media. I've sold my computer. I've given my Switch away to my brother. I started learning the piano, and I'm not planning on quitting this time. I have not procrastinated in 3 weeks, and it's the best feeling I've ever had. I really think it's the happiest I have ever been in my entire life.
That's really, really, really touching to hear. I'm glad that you said that. Final question: what piece of advice would you have to someone who is in your situation but a month ago? What would you say to him?
Do not give up. Reach out to help. Don't be ashamed because you're playing video games. Reach out to Andrew. It's like just look for help. Don't just continue playing. It's not going to get better if you don't do anything about it. Running from your problems is never a solution because one day they will catch up. You cannot run. You can only fight your problems, and then they completely disappear. And that's when the world becomes beautiful. That's when you can become happy because that's what happened to me. And I think that this course will really increase every aspect and positive aspect in my life. Sorry. I don't know. I just want to thank you for everything you're doing.
Hopefully that touching story has let you realize that you can overcome procrastination in a day if you come at it with the right mindset and the right techniques. And hopefully by watching that short video interview, you'll be filled with belief and have a correct mindset going into this. Because if he can overcome procrastination in a day, why can't you? But onto the specific technique that he mentioned a few times that was especially powerful for him was to plan tomorrow today. But it's not as simple as it sounds. So the place I got this idea from was Epictetus, who was actually an ancient Stoic philosopher, and this is what he had to say. When you are going about any action, remind yourself what nature the action is. If you're going to bathe, picture to yourself the things that will usually happen in the bath. Some people will splash the water, some push, some use abusive language, and others steal. Thus you will more safely go about this action if you say to yourself, I will now go bathe, and keep my own mind in a state conformable to nature. And in the same manner with regard to every other action. For thus, if any hindrance arises in bathing, you will have it ready to say, it was not only to bathe that I desired, but to keep my mind in a state conformable to nature, and I will not keep it if I am bothered at things that happen. And I know this quote is quite old-fashioned, we don't go to public baths anymore, but the meaning of this quote is that you should prepare yourself for the next day, and you should visualize certain elements of that day before you go about that day, and that's shockingly powerful. The way I've managed to incorporate this habit in my life on a day-to-day basis is every single evening, the night before, I will plan what my day will look like the next day. Even if it's a weekend, even if I haven't got anything planned, I'll block out hour by hour everything that I'm going to be doing throughout the day. I'll explain more about why I do this later, but just bear with me, because there's a little minutia that makes this habit actually 10 times more powerful. As you go out planning your day, you visualize what it's like to go throughout that day hour by hour. You visualize what could happen, you visualize what could go wrong, you visualize where you could get distracted, you visualize where you end up procrastinating. So you're not just going on Google Calendar and planning in hour by hour what you're going to be doing. You're also visualizing every single step of the way as you go through that day-to-day basis. And actually it's super powerful and you should definitely implement it, and it will help you overcome procrastination for 4 different reasons. The first one is because the 2 main causes of procrastination are either being overwhelmed or not knowing what to do. If you're overwhelmed and you've got too many tasks going on around you, it's almost impossible to focus on the task at hand and you'll find yourself procrastinating. Or if you don't know what you should be doing with your time and you're having to think all throughout the day, what should I do next? What should I do next? That's another reason for you to procrastinate. By planning the day and visualizing the day as you go throughout it, that removes both of those problems. Because at any given time, you know exactly what you should be doing, and all you've got to do is just implementing it, making procrastination so much less of an issue. The second reason that this is such a powerful habit is because you can find the tiny hinges that open huge doors. As you go about your day-to-day basis, there may be tiny things that you do will have a huge impact on the rest of your day. For example, if you get out of bed first thing in the morning, you're very, very likely to have a productive morning. If instead you lie in bed, you check your phone, it's very easy to spend an hour in bed watching YouTube, and that has a huge effect on the rest of the day. So the tiny hinge is whether you get out of bed in the morning or whether you stay in bed in that first minute after you wake up. That tiny action has a huge consequence on the rest of your day. So by planning ahead and visualizing different steps throughout the day, you're able to pinpoint and highlight the tiny hinges that have a huge impact on the rest of the day. Meaning that if you change that tiny hinge, you just force yourself to get out of bed, that ends up having a huge consequence on the rest of your day. So you're able to pinpoint the things that with a tiny amount of effort, you're able to have a huge consequence on the rest of your day. And obviously that allows you to make small changes in your life that lead to huge positive impacts where you're more productive, you're more happy, and you're more fulfilled. And the third benefit is that it reduces friction. One of the sayings I have in this channel, again I say again and again and again, is that you should make the good things easy and the bad things difficult. And by planning ahead and visualizing what your day will look like, and taking 5 minutes to visualize what your day will look like, you're reducing the friction, because in the morning you don't have to get up and you don't have to think, what do I have to do today? That's a huge amount of friction, having to force yourself to think and plan that day in the morning. That's a friction that's going to stop you from doing what you want to do. If you plan the day the night before and you visualize what the day will look like, you're removing all of that friction. Because you wake up in the morning, you don't have to think. All you've got to do is just execute on the plan you've created before. And reduced friction for the good things is always beneficial. And finally, the fourth benefit is you're able to focus on what's important. If you wake up and throughout the day you just kind of do what you feel like, you end up doing a lot of short-term gratification. You end up playing a lot of video games, wasting a lot of time on Netflix. If instead you're able to plan the day and you're able to plan the long-term beneficial tasks, you're focusing on the important things. Because the day before, when you're not wrapped up in emotions, you're able to think logically about what things you should focus on the next day. What will move the needle most in your business or in your life? You're able to focus on that when you plan the day before. All in all, this singular habit, taking 10 minutes at the end of your day to plan the next day and visualizing different things that are going to happen throughout that day, is a small habit that you can make that the results of it will be insurmountable. It completely removes procrastination for the video interview you watched earlier, and I guarantee you it will help you not just with procrastination, but also all other areas of your life. So please, I implore you to take time at the end of the day to plan tomorrow, today, and visualize what it will be like as you do that. I promise you that this will change your life, and I hope that you manage to implement this habit in your own life. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, then make sure you give it a thumbs up. I will be releasing the full interview later on at a different date, but if you want to see that, then just drop me a comment saying that you want to see that, because it's seriously motivational. Finally, if you're new around here, then make sure you click the subscribe button and we will welcome you to the family.